Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm certified natural healthcare practitioner Erin Thole, and today I have with me once again Colton Thayer from Way Labs. Hi, Colton.
Hey Aaron, how's
I
it going? We got a good one today.
We do. I know you're super excited about this one because you deal a lot with the kidney stuff over there at Way Lab. So today we are talking about kidneys, kidney health, kidney dysfunction, kidney failure, things that go along with kidney failure, all of that good stuff. It's actually a pretty common issue. And not a lot of people know about root cause with kidney issues. So we're going to dive into a lot of that today because most kidney issues are lifestyle based. So, obviously, just as always, our videos are for educational purposes. And so this is not going to take the place of any medical advice that you are receiving from your healthcare practitioner of choice. But please stay and learn with us. So Colton, let's dive in first with what is kidney disease, the function of the kidneys, like start with the foundational level and then just kind of go from there. I'm gonna share my screen with y'all so you can see exactly what we're talking about here.
hmm So we got that. So basically, with kidney disease, it's the reduction of the kidney's ability to function. We gotta look, well, what is the function? If you go down one more, you'll see. So the goal is, filter the blood, get the waste out of the blood, metabolic waste, excess waste, things you eat that maybe aren't good for you, toxicity, stuff like that, right? It's also going to help to keep the fluids balanced, right? Keep the electrolytes, um, and basically just kind of keep the system running right.
Mm-hmm.
The other things, regulate blood pressure. That's a part of it. They help to basically produce red blood cells, right? And then it regulates the acidity of the blood, of the body. So there's a lot of things they do. And when we have kidney disease, these things get impaired right here, all five of these things, plus
Yep.
others, right? Because you back up with fluids, you back up with waste. People start seeing edema, basically fluid retention. Uh, but yeah, so we want to look at like some of the things that can lead to kidney failure, kidney disease, kidney damage, right? The
Mm-hmm.
two big ones we already talked about, and that's kind of why we did those first. We really want to set the stage for this: diabetes and hypertension. Pretty
Yep.
much the two biggest causes in the world.
Yeah. And a lot of people, there is like a very small, minute, group of people where there is a genetic factor towards, kidney issues and stuff like that. But like we've talked about in other videos, your genes can be manipulated, epigenetics. So there's different things that we can do lifestyle wise to help to basically give the kidneys or whatever the genetic predisposition is, give those genes a crutch so that they don't express themselves in a negative way. So you don't have to be a victim of your genes is basically, what I'm getting at. And we're starting to see more and more and more kidney dysfunction, kidney failure, kidney disease, things of that nature because of lifestyle. But our typical model of care right now for kidney disease doesn't give people much hope. It's like, oh, now you have this. It's just a matter of time until you're on dialysis and it kills you. So that's not very reassuring to people. And just like when we talked in the blood sugar and the diabetes video, nobody ever comes to us and is like, I just have kidney failure. That's it.
No.
Like there's always a laundry list of other issues that coincide with that. The heart failure oftentimes goes with that because of the water imbalances, fluid imbalances, and just the high blood pressure that can't get under control because of what's going on in the kidneys. And all these things really just kind of loop together. So yeah, it's kind of a domino effect, if you will, of just different different issues.
They build on themselves, and right, a lot of this disease or dis-ease, out of balance, not happy body, right? A lot of that, can be looked at, a lot of inflammation, a lot of
Yeah.
things that cause stress, right? So with these, right, the two causes, right, the diabetes, the blood pressure, when we have high glucose or we have high pressure, causes a lot of strain on the blood vessels and the kidney where it filters in, right? When that occurs, just to be really general with it, but a lot of scar tissue forms, fibrin gets deposited, it hardens, it reduces the basically ability for the molecules to transfer in and out, right? And when that happens, GFR is going to go down.
Yeah.
Right? So doing that,
So let's talk about what GFR is.
Yeah. So GFR is the glomerular filtration rate. To sum it up, it's basically an estimation on how well your kidneys filter, how well, right? And they basically base CKD off of the scale of where your GFR is at, right? Above 90, it's basically G1, right? So it's normal to high kidney function. You get between 60 and 89, basically stage 2, mildly decreased kidney function. They don't call it chronic kidney disease yet. It's not necessarily chronic. It could be an acute kidney injury, could be a medication, could be a lot of things that could be triggering that, an allergy, right? When they start telling people they have kidney disease is basically stage 3 CKD, where the kidney filtration rate, the GFR, is between 59 and 45. That's 3A.
Do you want me to show the graph?
Pull that up. Let's pull that up.
Can you see it?
I can't see it.
Not yet. I think I have to switch it. 1 second. Okay. Zoop and zoop. We're sharing this one now. There we go. You can see that?
Yep, I can. So yeah, as you can see, so basically you're kind of in the green for basically stage 1, 2, right? So above 90, you're pretty much normal kidney function. You get between 89 and 60, they put it at stage 2. But where I was getting at is once you get to stage 3A, 3B, that's when people start to find out about their kidney function decline, right? Look at numbers like your creatinine, your weight, your height, and then they'll calculate that out and spit it out, and age, right? And they'll spit that out, give you your GFR. But yeah, most people don't know they have kidney impairment before that, right? Whether it's 89 to 60 or whatever. The other thing about kidney disease is it can be pretty asymptomatic until it's really late in the game.
Yeah.
Right? You get to kind of sub 45. Once you get past that halfway point, below 45 or so, people start noticing, hey, I'm starting to feel really tired, or I'm not sleeping too well, or I'm getting kind of these bags under my eyes. Or once it gets a little bit more severe, right, you see more swelling in the ankles, feet. So there's things that kind of come with it. But yeah, I guess really when
people might even notice, there's a lot of times symptoms that people just kind of live with because it's not that bad, kind of thing. So they might realize that they have some swelling at certain times of the day, or if they do certain activities, or the weather is a certain way, or they eat something, that's super high sodium or something like that. Like there might be these little like tells that are like, yeah, something's a little off over here, but
it goes away. Or
yeah, it goes away, or it comes and goes, ebbs and flows with the seasons or stress levels, or, things like that. And people don't really pay attention to these things because it's not that bad yet. We kind of live in a reactive instead of a proactive society. And you and I were talking about how, even if your numbers come back slightly out of range, where you're in kind of like this stage 2, your doctor's not even going to mention it to you. Like, you have no idea, unless you know how to read these labs and kind of read between the lines, that you're in a sad state of affairs until you're in like stage 3 or 4 kidney failure, you know? And the reason behind that is there's nothing that they can, quote unquote, do for you at that time. There's nothing that they can prescribe to you. You can't be on dialysis yet. Like, there's nothing within that medical realm yet for them to like take action on, because our medical society, unfortunately, at this point is very reactive instead of proactive. So it's just basically a waiting game. We're just going to wait and see. They're in stage 2 kidney failure, not worth mentioning because I don't want to freak them out. There's nothing I can do about it at this point in time. So I'm not going to even mention it to them, you know, which is kind of a huge disservice to people on many different levels, because everyone deserves to know what's going on with their body. And the second thing is, to your point that you've made to me multiple times, like, there's so much that we can do, because kidney disease so often, the vast majority of the time, is lifestyle induced. So there's things that we can do from a lifestyle perspective in terms of diet, hydration, electrolyte balance, mineral balance, all these other things that can prevent you from going even further down the slide.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Oh yeah. You know, if you catch it, you know, where you're at, 60 to 90 GFR, like, you turn that around doing diet alone. I've had
Exactly.
people who did our herbs and they were at like a 70, and a month later they were up to like 120. So like, you could speed it up with herbs, but you could really fix it with diet. You just,
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
you
Because
don't want,
so much of it is lifestyle based, or if there's like an autoimmune component, you know, they have lupus or something like that,
yeah,
that doesn't mean that you're destined to have kidney failure later on. Like, autoimmunity starts in the gut, and then there's other contributing factors, whether that's food sensitivities, chemical toxicity, chronic infections. That's another one with kidney, disorders and things like that, and high blood pressure that we talked about in the blood pressure video, is these chronic infections that jack up your blood pressure. And then that blood pressure stays long for eons. Blood pressure medication in and of itself can damage the kidneys. And then you have the high blood pressure, and then that's, causing kidney damage as well. If we just figured out why the blood pressure was high, and if it's because of systemic infection and you have autoimmunity, well, then let's balance out the ecosystem within the body so those infections are no longer there, because there's not an environment that supports them anymore. And then you kind of cut all this off at the pass before it even begins to become a major issue. So if we change our thinking in the US about, how to address issues, don't wait until it's super, super bad.
yeah.
Let's be proactive about things before they become massive issues.
And that's the biggest thing, right? Because like, a lot of people I talk to, like, gosh, they're not reaching out to us until like they're late stage 3, stage 4, and they're like, doctor said I gotta go get fistula put in, I gotta get ready for dialysis. Well, like, where's this coming from? Like, well, have you been watching like your health over the past like couple of years? Like, what were you doing there? Right?
Yeah.
We can help out, but the real goal is, let's stop it before it becomes a big issue.
Yeah, exactly. If you're watching this video, it's already a big issue. I mean, don't feel bad about that. You only know what you know, so we can take care of it now. Like, there's things that we can do to be proactive now, it's
And
just, go ahead. What you're going to say?
well, it's just like the old saying of like, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago. Well, I don't have that. I got right now, so do it now.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And how we were talking earlier about, one of the big reasons that nothing is recommended until a stage 3 or 4 is because there isn't anything to prescribe. And the main way to like start to go back the other way towards health is lifestyle changes, diet, things like that. But our medical system is so broken. Like doctors don't learn about nutrition like in school anymore. They learn, if they're interested in nutrition at all, they're reading the same things you are off the internet, like they don't have that training anymore at all. They haven't in decades. So they don't really know what to recommend. And so it's really doing people a great disservice. And there's like this preconceived notion in our medical society that, oh, they're not going to do it anyway. People just want a pill. They don't want to make the changes. And so it's really dumbing people down, like not even giving them the information that they could then take and take control of their health if they so choose. Instead, we're just putting everyone in this one basket and being like, oh, they're not going to do that anyway. It's like, well, at least give them the information, give them the opportunity to make the changes. But no, we're not doing that. Oh, I'm not even going to tell them if they have kidney dysfunction. I'm just going to wait till they're in stage 3 and then put them on some medications, So it's just an insane, it's insanity. It's an insane disservice
to
business people. What was that?
It's business.
It is a big time business, because telling people to go to the grocery store and like eat fruits and vegetables and, shop the perimeter of the grocery store doesn't put money in anybody's pocket other than the grocery stores and the people that, grow the food and all that other stuff. So it's not a way to make money, which isn't the individual doctor's fault. It's the medical system.
Man.
Yeah, it's the system.
Yeah. So our goal is, I just like coming up with these sayings or using old sayings, but it's just like, all right, so if you're going down this road, right, you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? What you're looking at is you probably have blood pressure issues. You probably have diabetes. One of them, probably, right? You're going to be on blood pressure meds forever, or you're going to be on diabetes meds forever if you don't do anything about your health.
Yeah.
Right. That's a monthly bill or a weekly bill, right? And then you get on dialysis. That's monthly, right? You can make a lot of money off of that if you are doing things like that. If you could get somebody to get that fixed, reversed, well, then you don't need as much of that.
Yeah.
Right? It's teaching somebody how to fish instead of just selling them a fish every day.
Exactly. We got to re-educate people on how to eat, how to be proactive with their health. And if something does happen, well, then what are these other steps that we can take, if necessary, through herb supplementation, things like that, to help them get everything back on track. So, yeah.
So that's the goal. Get you back on track. And I have some other slides. I don't know if we even really need to get into too much of it, right? Because we talked about the diabetes, the hypertension, autoimmune issues, right? Obesity can add to it.
Yep.
Tobacco use, right? As we age, people over the age of 60, their GFR is going to decline, right?
Yeah.
Biggest thing of aging is circulation goes down, right?
Yeah.
They run off of circulation, right? They filter the blood, right? So circulation goes down, they get a little suffocated, right? That's why doing things that help boost blood flow, exercise, staying hydrated, right? Keeping inflammation down, right? Eating things that help to open blood vessels is so beneficial.
Sure. I mean, that hydration thing is huge, because so many people do not drink enough water. And how are your kidneys supposed to filter out all of this stuff if nothing is diluted? It's really tough on the kidneys if everything is so just potent and thick, and they're supposed to just filter all this out. Like, it's not going to work out too well, Yeah,
I wanted to ask you something. So, like, it's obviously really important to hydrate.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes when people hear that, they're like, oh, I'm gonna go get a gallon of water and chug it right now, right? Like, so like overdo it too, even water.
Yeah.
Uh, right? Because the kidneys, they filter the blood, right? You put more fluid in, you're gonna make them work hard too, right? So like you got to fine tune it, right?
Half your body weight in ounces of water a day is the recommendation. Now, if it's super hot and humid outside and you're doing a bunch of lawn work, or you are a person that's working out every day and stuff like that, you're going to want to drink more, you know? So oftentimes I'll have people in their initial consultation with me, when I ask about water, like, oh yeah, I drink a lot of water. I think I drink like 2 liters a day. And they weigh like 200 pounds. I'm like, ooh, that ain't nearly enough, you know? So we have this weird idea of like what a lot of water is.
Mm-hmm.
And for the vast majority of people, it's not nearly enough. And you have to make sure you're not drinking tap water, you know, like that stuff is poison. That's for sure.
I love that stuff.
So make sure we're drinking some filtered water with the minerals added back into it. You know, like the best would be if you could get, you know, like real good spring water or reverse osmosis water with the minerals added back into it. You know, you don't want just straight up RO water because it's unstable. It doesn't have anything bad in it, but it doesn't have anything good in it either. Like water is supposed to have electrolytes and minerals and all that stuff in it. That's naturally what's in it. So if you're taking all the good and the bad out, and then you're drinking that, it's an unstable water. So what it essentially does is it's going to leach minerals from you, from your bones and whatnot, to balance itself out. And we don't want that. So drinking RO water day in and day out for years on end can actually cause your energy levels to go down, disrupt mineral levels, adrenal function, all those other things. So we want to make sure that we're drinking water that is clean, but also has minerals in it. So
good minerals. So they
there's
say,
lots of companies that do that. So
yeah, there are. They say like if you have kidney issues or blood pressure issues, you got to avoid salt. Tell me about that, Erin.
that's one of the things that annoys me so much, is because salt is not the bad guy. You need sodium. You absolutely need sodium. Oftentimes I'll have people do like a Himalayan, like what they call soul water, which is like a high concentration of either sea salt or Himalayan salt in purified water, and you let it just sit in the sun for like 24 hours to like activate those electrolytes and the just energies within the water. And then every morning you shake up the jar and take like 2 tablespoons of that water just to get those electrolytes and that good sodium, natural sodium into your body. And it will, for many people, regulate their blood pressure, regulate their fluid levels beautifully within a matter of a couple of weeks. Sometimes for some people, it's a couple of days. So yeah, so sodium isn't the bad guy. Table salt, on the other hand, is not good for you. It's a man-made chemical concoction that has absolutely no benefit to it whatsoever. It's going to cause, you know, the fluid retention, the swelling. It imbalances your minerals and your electrolytes and just throws everything off. So that's going to send your blood pressure through the roof. It's going to stress out your kidneys. It's going to create all that puffiness and bloating and just make you feel gross. You know, that's what we want to stay away from. But the sea salts, the Himalayan salt, the Celtic salt, that is super, super good for you. And you need that. If your sodium gets too low, your blood pressure might actually go up higher. If you're a person, we talked about this a little bit in the blood pressure video, if you're a person that's really triggered by sodium or salt in general, where it causes you some issues, your calcium to magnesium ratio is more than likely off. And that's something that we need to look at, is those minerals, because they help to balance out blood pressure as well. So there's different things that we need to look at. It's not an all or nothing, oh, I have to cut out all sodium, you know, like, no, don't be eating ramen noodles, but like you need real salts. Yeah.
So, and I want to ask you this in a minute, but like a lot of people, with anemia really benefit from the Himalayan salt. The reason it's pink is because of the iron, right? And that helps to
and the other minerals that help iron to work in your
exactly.
body, copper, zinc, all those things. So minerals are like a finely tuned instrument. We can't just like be like, oh, I heard zinc's good for you, so I'm going to take enormous amounts of zinc. Like you need to make sure that everything is playing nice together and in balance. And if something's not working in the body, then we have to figure out the root cause. Why is that? Because like I've said before, the body doesn't do something because it's bored. Like the symptoms are telling us like, hey, pay attention to this thing over here, and then it's your job and my job to figure out exactly what the body is telling us through those symptoms, decoding, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time. What I wanted to ask you is the table salt thing. What would you say the percentage of the average American diet when we're looking at fast food, when we're looking at going out to eat, what percentage of the food out there do they use table salt in? Right?
Vast majority of it, I would say. I mean, if you're going to McDonald's and Subway and these chain restaurants that don't have health in mind, they're all using table salt. All of them. You're going to Denny's, you're going to Perkins. I don't know if Perkins is anywhere other than Minnesota. Do you know that? I've never seen one here in Texas.
I don't like them. I don't like them anyways. So
I mean, that was the place in high school, but I digress. Anyway, the point of the matter is if you're going to like these chains that are just kind of like mediocre food quality, to be, blunt, I guess, they're always going to be using table salt. If you're frequenting restaurants that are farm to table, have, kind of like a health conscious undertone to them, and they really take pride in their food quality, where their food comes from. They're using, local vendors and local farmers for their meats and their produce and their this and their that. Those places are more than likely using sea salt. So you just kind of have to, as you're making your lifestyle changes, and nothing happens overnight, you're going to be rehauling all of that. You're going to be rehauling how you're cooking at home. You're going to be rehauling how you eat out, your exercise, your sleep, your stress management, everything. So that's just one of those things that's a stepping stone. Like it comes as you learn more and stuff like that, and you discover things in your area that are high quality and that work for you. So nothing happens overnight, but your palate is going to change, especially if you're cooking well at home and you're learning like these new cooking techniques, new ways to make your favorite foods and things like that in a healthy way. Your palate is going to change as you detox all those chemicals and just nastiness from all these processed foods and things like that. And so going to McDonald's or Subway or, whatever isn't going to taste the same anymore. You're going to be like, oh man, I used to like this. Gross.
right? And one of the things you learn after like just getting better at like making your own food, can usually make it taste better than anything at a restaurant. And then you're like, why did I even feel like I needed to spend $50 on dinner when I could have done it for 10 and made something awesome?
Yeah.
So like you save money. A lot of people say like, oh, it's expensive to eat this healthy food. It's like, it's expensive to eat junk food.
It
right?
is.
Your health.
Like, think about the middle aisles of the grocery store. Cereal is astronomically expensive. Chips, like all these packaged things, all these things that come in boxes and bags and all that stuff, you're paying for all that packaging, that branding. That stuff is expensive. Like that adds up. If you shop the perimeter of the grocery store and you're buying your produce, some healthy meats, all of that good stuff, that's not really that expensive. And then you can, and I'll put it again in this video, in the notes below the video, my Pinterest recipe page that has over 1,000 recipes on it. They're all gluten-free. The vast majority of them are dairy-free, top 7 allergen-free, things of that nature. And and they're all just like clean, delicious recipes. You don't have to be deprived and healthy or sick and eating comfort food. Like, it's not black and white. You can have delicious food. You can have your, Christmas cookie and your pumpkin pie and your pancakes and your pizza and your burgers and tacos and, all these other things that are comfort foods, because food is an emotional thing. But you're just going to make them in a different way, in a healthier way that is just relearning how to cook, relearning, re-educating yourself on what food is and what food should feel like in your body. Because if you eat and you're like, oh, I need to take a nap, you didn't eat something that works well with your body. Food is energy. So you should eat, feel energized.
Shouldn't take a bunch of energy to break.
There's something else going on. What was that?
It shouldn't take a bunch of energy from your body to digest something.
Exactly. So, and if it is, then that's a telltale sign that something is off. You're hitting that afternoon slump. I need some candy. I need a pick-me-up. I need some sugar. I need coffee. Yeah, whatever it is, something's going on. Adrenals aren't functioning well, and kidney and adrenal issues typically go hand in hand. So, these are all things that we can fix, we can head off before they become major issues. I know you wanted to touch on it, and I wanted to touch on it too. The oxalate issue.
Well, I was going to talk about coffee.
You can talk about coffee. You talk about coffee, and then we'll talk about oxalates.
Coffee, delicious. Probably one of the most sprayed commodities out there, with pesticides, with herbicides, with all that. So if you drink coffee, not only is it going to be a diuretic, but it's usually sprayed. So you want to make sure it's organic and healthy, right? Fair trade, all that. But like diuretics basically get the kidneys to pump out fluids, right? They get to work overtime, right? So you got coffee, you got the medications, you got your Lasix, your water pills, things like that. Over time, overwork the kidneys too, right? But just wanted to mention that, but dive into oxalates, because I see a lot of people with kidney stones and other issues.
Yes.
So
oxalates. I test for oxalates often on a panel called the OAT, which stands for Organic Acids Test. It tests for over 70 different metabolic markers. So on that test, we can see systemic infections. We can also see mitochondrial function. We can see oxalates. We can see how the body is handling the toxic load, cellular function, all this fun stuff. So the biggest thing that I look at on that test is systemic infections. Do we have chronic systemic yeast infections? If there is kidney issues, more often than not, yes, we do. We have chronic systemic yeast infections, sometimes bacterial infections like C. diff and things like that are really, kind of heavy hitters, not fun to have kind of infections going on. The body will allow oxalates, which are crystallizations that form in soft tissues, connective tissues. They can also form in your kidneys as kidney stones, your gallbladder as gallstones. They can form in the thyroid and things of that nature as well. So basically, they can make people feel really achy, sore, stiff, puffy, a lot of like joint inflammation kind of stuff. They can cause some digestive issues as well. The body will allow oxalates to proliferate in an effort to protect itself against chronic systemic infections. So the oxalates will help to like encase that yeast, encase that bacteria, things like that. So whenever I'm seeing multiple yeast infections, I'm always scrolling down the panel to see where our oxalate levels are at, so that we know, okay, we have to kill off these infections. We also need to flush out these oxalates so people can feel not so inflamed and puffy and stiff and things like that. So oxalates are a huge thing. And a lot of times people have kidney stones again and again and again and again, and they're never told why. and the root cause of it's never addressed. It's just like, okay, time to pass some more kidney stones, which that's not fun. Nobody wants to do that. So if we can, find a way to not have to do that anymore and get rid of the root of it, like pull that out, then our kidneys function much better. We can start to rebuild that kidney function. And we don't have this repetitive issue of the kidney stones, the high oxalates. And we also are getting rid of these underlying infections, which can cause autoimmunity, digestive issues, you name it, so on and so forth, sugar cravings, all sorts of things. So
there's
that's
just so much stuff that goes into it, right? And that's why I'm so glad we're making these videos, because it's like, hey, we talked about a lot, rewind it, right? Refresh, right? Call me, right? But now you have a gist of like what's going on, right? And what a lot of people deal with, that there's a lot of things that are going on in your body that like your standard tests aren't going to look at.
Yeah.
They're blood panels, they're going to look at protein, they're going to look at mineral balancing, hemoglobin, all that, right? But where are the infection tests? Where are the oxalates? What's the mitochondria doing?
Yeah.
So that's why this stuff is just so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But what else should we dive into? Do we want to talk about herbs? Do we want to talk about, like some of the things that we look for to improve? Where should we go, Erin?
Yeah, you want to talk about herbs? Do you want to talk about what you guys do with the Waylab Kidney Institute?
Yeah, I've been chomping at the bit for this. I love working with CKD. Not that like it's a fun thing to have. It's okay, perfect. Hey, you know what? Why don't we jump to the other slide?
Okay, 1 second. Yeah, this one is probably better for this, all intents and purposes. This one?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So let's go through it. So basically, right, when we're looking at kidney disease, we're looking at there's reduced ability to filter. There's usually inflammation to the kidneys as a whole, right? When that happens with inflammation, it's like you sprain an ankle, right? You roll your ankle, what happens? It puffs up, it swells up, right? It's inflamed. It's the body's immune system processing it. And when that happens, you have so many little tubules, right? Little hoses in the kidneys. And you have all that inflammation and swelling. What it does is it constricts them, right? It's like you step on a hose. So when we look at addressing this, we want to at least get the inflammation down. You do that, you can help with a lot of things. You can basically stop the deterioration process. You can allow for better flow through, right? So when we say clear heat, we're talking clearing inflammation.
Yeah.
One of the products we use for that is called KS. And it actually, one of the parts to it is it also helps to clear infections. So when tissue is inflamed, it's agitated, maybe somebody's got some nicks in their kidneys, right? Open wounds, right? Allows for infections to come in. Like you were saying, could be fungal too, could be candida, could be yeast, right? There's a lot of things that come with it, especially if you're diabetic.
Yeah.
Chances of disease are high, right? So if we can clear that, reduce that, that's going to help on that end, right? The other goal is, okay, yin, yang, and what is it, right? Why does that matter, right? When we look at it from a Chinese perspective, yin is the structure, yang is the function, right? The movement, and then the material, right? So we use formulas that help to support the actual tissue of the kidneys, the connective tissue that holds it open, right? Helps to just keep things flowing through, right? Helps to support the lining of the tubules, right? So we use things like that. We use things to support blood flow, right? Because the kidneys filter your blood, their structure is blood vessels, right? So we want things that support microcirculation, cardiovascular tissue support, things like that, right? And then we also want to address, well, what drives the kidneys? What gets them to function, right? What's the fuel in the tank per se, right? We look at the adrenals and their interaction with the kidneys, right? They secrete a hormone called aldosterone, which basically tells the kidneys, time to filter. Let's run this, right? Let's get these excesses out, right? When the adrenals get fatigued, right, it takes a lot more signal to get those adrenals just to secrete that hormone, right? Just kind of like how you were talking about the insulin resistance, things like that, right? It's very similar, right? So
Yeah.
if we nourish and nurture the adrenals, right? Not overwork them, right? They're already taxed. They're already, beaten down, broken up, all that. We want to build them up, nourish them, right? And then we want to boost blood flow, reduce inflammation, and just allow them to flow. So I'll start people with 3 products: the LC balancer for microcirculation, the XL for adrenal support, and then the KS to help reduce kidney heat, right? Usually with that, we can see improvements relatively quickly. Some people can see it within a week, some people take longer, right? And it really comes down to what else is going on in the diet, right? What's going into the body? What's your body have to filter, right? Because if it's already, say you're at a 20 GFR, right? Say it's a rolling scale of 100, right? You got 80% of the crap that's not getting out,
Yeah.
right? Just naturally, right? And okay, so you have 80% that's not getting out, and then we're eating stuff that's junk, not good for the body. You're adding to it. So I guess steer me in a direction. I could talk about anything here. I'll talk.
Let's see. We talked about that stuff already. Talked about that. We talked about the herbs. Man, I mean, we've talked about a lot of stuff. We might have given people enough stuff to chew on for a minute here. So usually you do things kind of like in stages, where you're starting with those 3 that you first mentioned, the LC balancer, the XL, and the KS. And then from there, it's kind of like you're going into, okay, let's see where we're at after we've done a little bit of time with those. Where are we still stuck? What improvements have we seen? And then it's fine tailored to each individual, just like when I'm working with a client, like it's custom made for each individual. So we want to kind of like see how far we get with these and then move forward from there. So typically, how long is it taking? Do you talk to me about the protocol in terms of stage 1, stage 2, like phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of herbs? And I know that you've been able to like get people off of dialysis.
Yeah.
And things like that. So
it's possible. It takes a lot of work. It's not easy.
Well, yeah. Right? I mean, it takes a long time to get to that spot. So it's not going to be, 3 months and everything's fine. Like it's going to take work. It's going to take due diligence, staying on the path, little stepping stones to the big overall goal. You don't start at the end. So
you don't. I wish you could.
Wouldn't that be easy? Yeah.
It'd be nice. But when we're looking at it, we're not working miracles. It's just based on real science. It's trial and error, right? But when we look at CKD and say it's early on, right? I typically just use those 3. Okay. Somebody has a lot of blood pressure issues. We're not doing much to help out with that. We probably got to work on that as well as the kidneys, right? So I use the breeze, right? Because if you're not getting rid of the root of the problem, right? The root of the problem is not usually the kidney disease. It's the diabetes, the blood pressure, whatever. Right? So we want to work.
You're an innocent bystander.
I know. And you don't die from kidney disease. You die because the heart fails because the kidneys can't pump out the fluid. It's like the bilge pump in a boat. The ship's the same. But so we'll phase it out, right? When we look at later stages of CKD, We can usually get things moving in the right direction in about 3 months, about 90 days, right? And that's usually, people are getting blood work relatively, quarterly, right? So 90 days usually works out. The one things that I typically like to address is like using things like the Renogen or the CV to help support the cardiovascular system.
Mm-hmm.
Really well, what else is getting messed up, right? You're feeling really tired. We did the XL, the KS, the LC. You're feeling a little bit better, but you're maybe plateauing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, maybe we got to support the heart. Maybe we got to support the blood vessels, or other things like that. But there's, I don't know, did I answer your question there?
Yeah, I mean, things are customized to the individual depending on what's at the forefront for them, basically. Is kind of what's being reiterated, which is a good thing because people need to know that, that it's not just like 1, 2, 3, like here's what's going on with you, here's what we recommend, same for everybody, go on your merry way. Like functional medicine is a very different approach. We dive into literally everything to do with your health history, how you manage stress, trauma, like literally everything. So we can create a fine-tuned program for you as an individual. So yeah, I think we've given people a good hunk of information to chew on today, and we can always revisit this one, if people have questions, they want us to expand upon a certain area, subcategories, things like that, just let us know. Drop some notes, below the video. Let us know what you're thinking, how you're feeling about, videos. Drop us any ideas that you have. If you want a consultation with myself or Colton or both of us, I'll put our contact information below this video. And I always put them on the video as well. So you can contact me at erinthole.com, which is my website. You can request a free consultation there. You can email me at thole.erin@gmail.com. You can give Colton a call at, you should just have a sign.
It's 612-808-9235. Happy to help.
All right, fantastic. Until next time, we will see you later. Have a good one.
You, Erin. See ya.
Bye.